Did you know that some cats panic at the sight of an ordinary cucumber? These graceful predators, capable of lightning-fast catching a fly in the air and fearlessly attacking objects several times larger than themselves, can experience completely irrational fears of the most mundane things. Today we will dive into the amazing world of feline phobias and find out what our fluffy hunters are really afraid of. Before we begin our journey into the world of cat fears, share in the comments. Have you noticed that your kitty is panically afraid of something unusual? Perhaps he runs away in terror from a hairdryer or hides at the sound of an opening can. Your stories will help us form a more complete picture of unusual feline phobias and perhaps find ways to help our fluffy friends. In the meantime, make yourself comfortable. Understanding cat fears is not just a fun exploration of their quirks. It is the key to creating a comfortable environment for your pet, improving its psychological well-being, and strengthening your mutual connection. Plus, knowing about your kitty's phobias, you can avoid stressful situations and make his life happier. Let's start with perhaps the most famous and viral cat phobia: fear of cucumbers. Videos where cats panic, jump up, and run away at the sight of this harmless vegetable gather millions of views. But why does such a violent reaction occur? It's not about the cucumber itself. Cats react to the sudden appearance of an unfamiliar object in a place where it wasn't before. Imagine, you are calmly eating from your bowl, turn around, and suddenly behind you appears some elongated green object. The cat brain instantly processes the information and delivers a verdict. This could be a snake, and snakes pose a natural threat to cats. It's important to understand that deliberately scaring cats with cucumbers is not a harmless joke. Such experiments cause severe stress in animals and can lead to the development of chronic anxiety. Veterinarians and animal psychologists unanimously condemn such entertainment. Interestingly, not all cats are afraid of cucumbers. Some may show curiosity or complete indifference. This depends on the individual experience, temperament, and level of socialization of the animal. So if your cat ignores cucumbers, he's not broken, he just has a different character. The next common phobia in cats is fear of water. Many owners know how difficult it is to bathe their pet. But why do these animals, who so carefully monitor their cleanliness, so panically fear water? One reason is historical. The ancestors of domestic cats come from the arid regions of the Middle East and North Africa, where they rarely encountered large bodies of water. Evolutionarily, they simply had no need to adapt to swimming. The second reason is physiological. Cat fur does not have such a water-repellent layer as, for example, dogs. When wet, it becomes heavy, which makes movement and thermoregulation difficult. In the wild, a wet cat is a vulnerable cat, so the self-preservation instinct makes them avoid water. However, there are exceptions here too. Turkish Van, Maine Coon, and some other breeds are comfortable with water and may even enjoy swimming. And some ordinary domestic cats, if properly introduced to water at an early age, can become real water enthusiasts. One Maine Coon breeder told how his cat loved to jump into the bathtub and play with dripping water, and sometimes even join the owner while showering. So the cat's fear of water is not an absolute rule, but rather a tendency. The third amazing phobia of cats is fear of reflections and mirrors. Unlike humans and some higher primates, cats do not recognize themselves in the mirror. For them, the reflection is either another cat or an incomprehensible moving creature that copies their actions. A kitten's first encounter with a mirror often looks comical. It may hiss, arch its back, jump sideways, or try to look behind the mirror in search of another cat. Some pets eventually get used to and lose interest in reflections, but others may maintain vigilance or fear of mirrors throughout their lives. An interesting experiment was conducted by scientists from the University of Florida. They observed the reaction of cats to their own reflection with a colored mark applied to their face. Unlike chimpanzees or dolphins, which try to investigate the unusual mark on themselves, cats reacted to the reflection as to another animal, not realizing that they were seeing themselves. This experiment shows that cats perceive the world differently than we do. Their fear of mirrors is not just a quirk, but a result of the peculiarities of their cognitive development and perception of reality. The fourth unexpected phobia is fear of certain sounds. Cat hearing is much sharper than human. They are capable of picking up sounds in a range of up to 64 kilohertz. For comparison, humans hear a maximum of 20 kilohertz. Therefore, some sounds that seem normal or even inaudible to us can be deafening or painful for cats. Cats are especially often afraid of the hissing of aerosol cans, the sound of a vacuum cleaner, blender, hairdryer, and even the rustling of foil or bags. Some pets panic at the sound of an opening can. It would seem that this sound should be associated with feeding and evoke positive emotions. An interesting case was told by one owner of a Persian cat. Her pet would panic at the sound of an electric toothbrush. It turned out that the frequency of vibration of the brush coincided with the frequency at which some insects, natural enemies of cats, communicate. What was just household noise for a human sounded like a danger signal for a cat. If your pet is afraid of certain sounds, it is important not to force him to overcome the fear, but to gradually conduct desensitization, a smooth introduction to the scary stimulus in a safe environment, starting with minimal intensity. The fifth unusual phobia is fear of certain smells. A cat's sense of smell is 14 times sharper than a human's, so they are much more sensitive to various aromas. Some smells that seem pleasant or neutral to us can be repulsive or frightening to cats. Many cats are panically afraid of the smell of citrus fruits, lemons, oranges, grapefruits. This fear has evolutionary roots. Citrus fruits contain compounds that are toxic to cats in large quantities. The self-preservation instinct makes them avoid these smells. Also common is the fear of the smell of vinegar, some essential oils, especially tea tree, eucalyptus, mint, and household chemicals. Interestingly, many insect repellents contain components that mimic danger pheromones that insects release when threatened. Cats instinctively recognize these signals and react with fear. One veterinarian told a story about a cat that flatly refused to enter a room after the owner used a lavender oil air freshener there. Although for humans this aroma is associated with relaxation and tranquility, for the cat's nose it was so unpleasant that the pet preferred to sleep in the hallway until the smell completely disappeared. The sixth phobia, which may seem strange, is fear of certain textures and surfaces. Cats are very tactile. Their paws contain many sensitive receptors. Therefore, some materials and surfaces can cause them discomfort or even panic fear. Many cats are afraid to walk on foil, tape, adhesive tape, or wet surfaces. Some pets experience real horror before certain fabrics, for example, polyester or nylon, which can accumulate static electricity and create unpleasant sensations when in contact with fur. An interesting experiment was conducted at the University of Pennsylvania. Cats were offered to walk on paths with different textures to get to a treat. Most animals categorically refused to step on sticky or rustling surfaces, preferring to stay without a treat. This feature of feline psychology is used in some behavior correction tools. For example, double-sided tape on furniture can teach a cat not to scratch the sofa, and foil on the windowsill, not to jump on forbidden places. The seventh unusual phobia is fear of certain shapes or objects. Some cats experience irrational fear of objects of a certain shape or size, even if these objects do not pose any danger. Fear of balloons is common. especially those inflated with helium and floating in the air. For a cat, such an object violates all the laws of physics. It moves unpredictably, has no smell, and makes strange sounds when in contact with surfaces. Some pets are afraid of objects with a certain pattern. There is a known case when a cat categorically refused to enter a room where there was a carpet with a leopard print. Perhaps instinctively, he perceived this pattern as a sign of the presence of another predator in his territory. Interestingly, many cats experience fear of headwear on people: hats, caps, beanies. When the owner puts on an unusual headgear, his silhouette changes, and the cat may not recognize a familiar person, perceiving him as a potential threat. The eighth phobia is fear of unfamiliar people or certain categories of people. Unlike dogs, who are most often friendly to new people, cats are more cautious and selective in social contacts. Many cats are afraid of men, especially tall ones with loud voices or abrupt movements. This may be due to the fact that men are on average larger, have a lower voice, and often move differently than women. For a cautious animal, such characteristics can be associated with danger. Also common is the fear of children, especially small and active ones. Unpredictable movements, high sounds, and lack of understanding of cat boundaries make children potentially dangerous from a cat's point of view. An interesting observation was made by specialists from animal shelters. Cats often react differently to people in different clothes. For example, a person in a white coat, association with a veterinarian, can cause fear even if this person is completely unfamiliar to the cat. The ninth unusual phobia is fear of certain places in the house. Despite their curiosity, cats can categorically avoid some rooms or areas in the house for no apparent reason. Cats are often afraid of the bathroom, a place associated with water and unpleasant procedures. Some pets flatly refuse to go to the kitchen, especially if something frightening once happened there. For example, a fire alarm went off or a pot fell. An interesting case was told by one owner. His cat was panically afraid to approach one specific corner in the living room. There were no visible reasons for this until the owner discovered that it was in this place that the electrical wiring with a small current leakage was passing. The cat heard high-frequency humming and felt an electromagnetic field inaccessible to human perception. Some cats may also be afraid of certain places due to phantom smells, traces of fear, pheromones left by themselves or other animals during a stressful situation. These smells can persist for a long time and be indistinguishable to humans. And finally, the 10th amazing phobia is fear of changes in the surrounding environment. Cats are creatures of habit, and any changes in their territory can cause severe stress and fear. Rearranging furniture, the appearance of new interior items, repairs. All this can turn a confident hunter into a nervous, hiding creature. Even such a small thing as a new vase in a familiar place can cause anxiety in a cat. Moving is especially stressful. In a new house, the cat finds itself in a completely unfamiliar environment, devoid of familiar smells and landmarks. Some pets adapt in a few days, others need weeks or even months to feel safe. An interesting experiment was conducted at the University of Lincoln. Researchers observed the behavior of cats before and after small changes in their habitat. It turned out that even moving a bowl to a new place increased the level of stress hormones in animals and changed their behavior. Summing up our journey into the world of cat fears, we can say that these graceful predators, despite their reputation as fearless hunters, have many phobias. Cucumbers, water, mirrors, certain sounds and smells, unusual textures, strange objects, unfamiliar people, certain places, and changes in the environment. All this can cause panic fear in cats. Understanding these fears helps us create a comfortable environment for our pets and strengthen the mutual bond. It is important to remember that feline phobias are not whims or quirks, but the result of the peculiarities of their perception of the world, evolutionary heritage, and individual experience. What about your cat? Does she have any unusual fears that you would like to talk about? Perhaps you have found an effective way to help your pet overcome a phobia. Share your stories in the comments. Your experience can be invaluable to other cat owners. If this video was helpful, don't forget to like it. This will help more cat lovers learn about the psychology of their pets. Subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to not miss new exciting videos about our fluffy companions. And be sure to share this video with your cat-loving friends. Perhaps it will help them better understand their pets. In the upcoming episodes, we will continue to reveal the secrets of feline psychology and talk about how our fluffy friends perceive the world quite differently than we do. Believe me, you have many amazing discoveries awaiting you. Remember, by understanding your cat's fears, you are not just improving her life, you are opening a new dimension in your relationship based on mutual trust and respect.